You feel a knot tighten in your stomach as a voice whispers, "You're the reason we're in trouble," and the room seems to close in around you. Every eye suddenly fixed on your every move. Have you ever wondered why a simple slip-up can feel like a personal attack, as if the whole world has turned against you? In the next few minutes, you'll uncover the hidden psychology that turns guilt into a weapon and learn how to stop it from crushing your confidence. Stay with me, because the truth might just change the way you see every conflict. Welcome back. I'm your guide today, and we're pulling back the curtain on a subtle yet powerful form of emotional manipulation, the art of blaming. Blame, or what the Spanish call culpabilizar, is more than just pointing a finger. It's a strategy that can hijack our emotions, distort reality, and keep us locked in a cycle of self-doubt. It shows up in families, at work, in politics, and even on social media, shaping how we think about responsibility and worth. Research shows that chronic exposure to blame can raise anxiety levels by a significant margin, and long-term guilt is linked to higher rates of depression. By the end of this segment, you'll understand the brain mechanisms behind blame, recognize the tactics people use to make you feel guilty, and walk away with a solid foundation for protecting your mental space. Let's start with the science. Why does our brain even care about blame? From an evolutionary perspective, early humans lived in tightly knit groups where survival depended on cooperation. Assigning responsibility for a failed hunt or a missed gathering helped the tribe maintain order and avoid repeated mistakes. Imagine a small band of hunter-gatherers where one missed spear could mean starvation for everyone. Quickly identifying the cause was a matter of life or death. That ancient need to pinpoint fault became wired into our neural circuitry. Today, blame still serves a social function. It acts as a signal that reinforces group norms, letting us know what behavior is acceptable and what isn't. In a modern office, a post-mortem meeting can slide into a scapegoating session where the team's failure is pinned on a single person, turning a learning opportunity into a guilt trip. This shift from constructive feedback to blame can create a toxic atmosphere, eroding trust and morale. Neuroscience gives us a clearer picture of what happens inside our heads when we feel blamed. The amygdala, the brain's alarm system, lights up the moment we sense accusation, triggering a fear-based response that tightens our chest and speeds up our heartbeat. Meanwhile, the prefrontal cortex, which normally helps us reason and regulate emotions, struggles to keep up, leaving us with a swirl of self-criticism and rumination. The result is a mental loop where we replay the moment over and over, each pass reinforcing the feeling of guilt. Think back to the last time a colleague said, "It's your fault we missed the deadline." Did you notice a tightening in your shoulders, a sudden flush, or a rush of thoughts like, "I'm not good enough"? Those physical reactions are your body's way of signaling that blame has struck a chord deep in the brain's survival system. Now let's explore how blame is engineered through language, power, and emotion. The words we use can turn a simple observation into a weapon. Phrases that start with, "you always," or "you never," are designed to trap the listener in a blanket judgment, leaving no room for nuance. In contrast, "I feel" statements invite sharing without assigning fault. Accusatory language also activates the brain's threat circuitry, making it harder to stay objective. Power dynamics play a crucial role too. When a person holds authority, be it a boss, a parent, or a charismatic leader, they can wield blame to maintain control. By framing a mistake as a moral failing rather than a human error, they shift the focus from the act to the character, making it harder for the target to defend themselves. This tactic is often reinforced by emotional cues. A sigh, a narrowed gaze, or a raised voice can amplify the sense that the blame is justified, even when it isn't. Emotion is the glue that holds the blame trap together. Guilt, shame, and fear are all powerful motivators that keep us compliant. Guilt tells us we've done something wrong and need to make amends. Shame attacks our sense of self, suggesting we are fundamentally flawed. Fear warns us of potential rejection or punishment if we don't conform. Together, they create a pressure cooker that can crush self-esteem if left unchecked. Understanding these mechanisms is the first step toward breaking free. When you recognize that the brain's alarm system is being hijacked, you can start to pause, breathe, and evaluate whether the blame is truly warranted or simply a manipulation tactic. In the next part, we'll dive into practical tools you can use to protect yourself and reclaim your emotional balance.
If this is resonating with you, smash that like button so we know to keep digging deeper.
Now that you can see how language, power, and emotion intertwine to create a blame trap, let's move into the toolbox you can start using today. The first habit is to create a pause before you respond. When someone drops an accusation, the immediate instinct is to defend, to explain, or to apologize. That rush is the brain's alarm system screaming, danger. By taking a breath, counting to 3 in your head, and letting the initial surge settle, you give yourself a window to assess whether the blame is warranted or simply a manipulation. The second strategy is to reframe the conversation with I statements, even when the other person is the one blaming. Instead of saying, "I'm sorry you think I messed up," try, "I hear that you're frustrated, and I'd like to understand what part of the situation feels unfair to you." This subtle shift removes the defensive shield and brings the focus back to the specific behavior rather than the character. It also signals that you are willing to engage without surrendering your sense of self. Third, practice the art of boundary naming. When you recognize an accusation that feels excessive, name the boundary you need in a calm tone. For example, when you say, "I'm always late," it feels like you're questioning my reliability. "I'm open to discussing the missed deadline, but I need us to keep the conversation about the task, not my overall character." Naming the boundary puts a clear line in the sand, reminding both parties that blame that attacks identity is not acceptable. A fourth technique is to ask for evidence. This may sound confrontational, but when done respectfully, it can deflate vague guilt-tripping. You might say, "Can you point to the specific moment where you felt my actions caused that outcome?" By requesting concrete examples, you force the other person to move from an emotional charge to tangible facts. Often the answer is, "I don't have a specific incident, it's just a feeling," which reveals that the blame is more about their internal narrative than your actual behavior. The final tool is self-compassion. After a blame episode, it's easy to replay the criticism over and over, letting it erode confidence. Counter that loop by reminding yourself of your intrinsic worth, separate from any single mistake. A simple mantra such as, "I am more than this moment," can quiet the inner critic that the blame has amplified.
Research shows that self-compassion reduces stress hormones and restores a sense of agency, making it harder for external blame to stick.
Let's pause for a moment. Which of these techniques feels most doable for you right now?
Drop a comment below with the one you'll try first, and let's keep the conversation going.
I'm curious to hear what strategies you already use when someone tries to make you feel guilty. Now, beyond personal tools, there's a broader perspective that can shift how you view blame altogether. Imagine treating each accusation as data rather than a verdict. When someone points a finger, you can ask, "What does this tell me about their expectations, their fears, or their own insecurities?" This mental model doesn't excuse harmful behavior, but it does give you a buffer, turning the blame into information you can process without internalizing it as personal failure. In groups, whether at work, in a family, or within a community building, a culture of accountability rather than blame is essential. Accountability focuses on actions and solutions, while blame fixates on fault and shame. You can model this shift by saying, instead of assigning blame, let's identify what went wrong and how we can prevent it next time. Over time, this language change can ripple through the group, reducing the overall climate of guilt-tripping. Before we wrap up, I want to acknowledge that breaking free from entrenched blame patterns isn't a one-time event. It's a practice that gets stronger with each conscious choice you make. Some days the alarm will feel louder, and that's okay. The key is to keep returning to the pause, the reframing, the boundary naming, the evidence request, and the self-compassion habit. Each time you do, you reinforce a healthier neural pathway that favors calm assessment over panic.
If any part of today's discussion resonated with you, let me know in the comments.
Your experiences help shape future videos, and hearing how these ideas play out in real life is what makes this community thrive.
And if you found value in the tools we covered, give this video a thumbs up so the algorithm knows to bring more content like this your way.
Finally, if you're ready to keep exploring the hidden ways our minds get hijacked and learn more strategies for mental resilience, consider subscribing.
By joining the channel, you'll get notified whenever we dive into another psychological puzzle, from manipulation tactics to the science of confidence.
No pressure, just an invitation to stay connected if you want to keep sharpening your mental toolkit. Thank you for spending these minutes together, for opening up to the subtle dynamics that can make us feel small, and for committing to reclaiming your emotional space. Remember, blame is a weapon that works best when we hand it over to the wrong person yourself.
Take back the power, stay curious, and keep questioning the narratives that don't serve you. Until next time, stay aware and stay kind to yourself.